Yo, what's up? So today is May 9th. Bit of a later post. I was busy with work and everything earlier in the day, so I'm getting it all done now. Um, Now, since uh, March 23rd, we're at 11 losses, 45 wins. Today was a pretty crazy day, and with me, and if you look back in, you know, my other trade reviews, I only really take 1 to 3 trades a day. I feel like I mostly just take two. And today was a lot. I took 5 trades. Um, and I feel like the reason, which isn't really a good reason, is I was just kind of disappointed with the first 2 trades. It was just one of those things where they're just trades I know I shouldn't have taken, and I felt like I could redeem myself, which I ended up doing, which is good. But I know that's not really a good thing to do in the future. I wouldn't really say it's revenge trading where I was trying to be like, oh, I have to win back these losses. Oh, I'm gonna just try to hit a big win here to recover it, and then I moved from 3 days to 0 days, and then I'm just blowing up like a shit ton of money. No, I felt like my last 3 trades were really well put together, very good trades, not many mistakes. Especially this last trade here that some of you guys are probably seeing me update in the trade channel. I feel like this is probably one of my favorite trades that I've taken, just because the amount of, well, first off, how good the setup was. It was There was something that I did learn from Bueller yesterday too by asking him in stream that I implemented here, for a more passive entry, and I ended up hitting all 3 of my take profits. And I was able to hold this trade for like 2 hours. Oh my gosh, that was like I was about to lose my mind, but um, yeah, it was a long hold, but it ended up playing out, and I'm very happy. So let me just get into this. So I'm gonna get into my 2 losers first. Also, I'm sorry yesterday. The trade that I did take, or I mean the video that I made, I feel like wasn't super in depth and wasn't as good as my other videos. So I'm gonna try to actually, um, really give a lot of good information here of why I took the trade and how it can be better. Just so I can look back on it, and then if there's anybody else in the BB Discord that can like learn something from it too, that'd make me really happy. So, I'm gonna first off recap on one of my trades yesterday. So here in the opening, so here in the SPY open, we flushed and we actually closed below pre-market low, and we started to have this bounce on lowering volume. And seller volume started to pick back up again. We were rejecting the 9 minute on the 5 and 10 minute chart, rejecting the golden pocket of the opening candle, and a BB level. So it was really good positioning, and we lost the pre-market low. And why this is important is because I had a really good trade with this, about 30%, but here in the morning, what I got caught up on in the first 10 minutes is, look at what we're below, the pre-market low. So I started to think of, okay, well, let me draw my golden pocket, and I just drew it to this high here, and I feel like I was kind of forcing this trade. I feel like this is not a bad trade. It was just the positioning, and then the same with my second one was I was forcing it in a sense, but it's not like there wasn't a trade there. It was just like not the right area to take the trade, just because I wanted to take one. And the reason being is I like my entry on here. I like that we pull up to, low of day, how we're kind of rejecting the 9 EMA2. If I actually open Webull here and we go to SPY, the 10 minute, sorry, I have to go on Webull. I'm not paying 15 a month for TradingView. Um, at that time too, we were rejecting the 9 EMA 10 minute. Let's go on to the 15. The same thing, we were kind of wicking off of that 10 minute. So I'm just thinking like, yo, this is pretty good. But what I failed to think about is Bueller was saying yo, this is kind of like an indecision area. We haven't had an initial breakout yet. Look at the first 5 minutes. If this first 5 minute candle would have just flushed down like yesterday, and then we were to see this pullback up, we would have had a beautiful 80% entry here. But look at, bulls just recovered this candle. Then what happens next candle? Yes, we close down. No significant volume though. And then the candle right after that, we just reclaim it all. And yeah, we wick off at the end, but it's also like on this I'd say inverse pin bar-ish that I did get in on, uh look at no more significant volume. Sellers are clearly not stepping in. Another thing that I failed to think about too is, let me draw a little demand zone. Look at this. Look at where we're entering. We are entering right in the middle of supply and demand. So what does that mean? A horrible risk to reward ratio. Because at the point where our trade gets invalidated is about a 28-cent stop loss. And where our first target should be, pre-market low, look at, is 18 cents away at this point. So is this an area that you want to enter for risk to reward? No. Is there a possibility that we could have broke down pre-market low and flushed here? Yeah, there is. You can't always predict what's going to happen next in the market, but you can focus on the trade and the risk management. And where would be a better place? This is what I should have asked myself, is where would be a better place to enter? And clearly a better place to enter would be, okay, let's say we pop up, we need to see an initial breakout of one of our BB levels. And this is just like the basics of BB, Oh, our initial breakout, 40%, 80% entry, breakout of the pre-market high, pre-market low, previous day high, previous day low. At this point in time, we haven't broke any of those levels. We're just stuck in between. And what I'm doing is first off setting myself up with a horrible risk to reward ratio. And the second thing is I'm trying to predict the market, not react to the market. And that's obviously a lot easier said than done. But I'm hoping, when I'm entering here, I'm hoping that we just flush right through pre-market low, just like that, and we can come all the way down to 410. Because what would that mean for me? A fat payout, basically. So I'm just thinking with my emotions, I'm thinking with greed. I have downside bias from the open. So that's what led to the downfall of this trade. Now, what would have been a lot better is if, we get a clear rising volume close below pre-market low. We get a pullback on lowering volume for a nice 80% entry. And, this could have been back to the golden pocket. This could have just been back to the BB level and we could have gotten our confirmation. And, look at this. Boom, you get in here on like the breakdown. You have your stop up here. Now look at your risk to reward ratio. Where's your next target when you're entering here? Your next target is going to be, maybe 410.50, 410. So let's look at this. Let's look at how much better our risk to reward ratio is here. If you even just go to 410.50, you are still going to have around a 2 risk to reward ratio, not a 0.6. Now let's say your second target is 410. Now you're going to have an almost 5 risk to reward ratio here. This is the spot that I needed to enter, not up here. And I simply just entered because I wanted to be in a trade, and that's not a good habit to have. I'm glad that I can go back and I can look back and be honest with myself and know that, that's what I was thinking. And, right after I took that trade, I even said to myself, and, right now is a chop zone and I just need to wait for this breakout. So what I do is I start to be patient. I start to sit on my hands and market starts to push up here to the this like body of the previous day low on the 5 minute. Boom, boom, boom. See right here. And we began to reject off. So my little heart gets thumping, thumping, thumping. I'm like, ooh, putters, putters, money, bias, and I just go back to the same mindset. You know, we haven't had a breakout of this range. It's not like it's one thing too if I were to take like puts up here and I were to be like, all right, I'm gonna play this down to the bottom of my range, and then at the bottom of my range, I'm gonna start to look for um, candlestick patterns and stuff like that, or like trend line breakouts that I can play to the top of the range and just, play supply and demand, just play back and forth like that. I'm just trying to predict a breakout. And what I see here is, we go up, we break out, and look at this volume. This is very good volume. But again, where do I go wrong in this trade? It's not like that this is a bad setup. I've taken this setup a lot. I've taken, flag breakdowns, I've taken trend line breakdowns, and, the volume confirmation here is really, really good. But I made the same mistake as the first trade. And at what point is our trade invalidated? All right. Well, our trade to be completely invalidated here is back above 411.50. And another way we know that too is we got even a little lead test right here. So if we get above this golden pocket in this 411.50, that clearly invalidates this whole trade. And it's like, okay, 40-cent stop loss is kind of crazy, but the setup could be good, but where would our first take profit have to be? And that's at this demand zone. Where are we? We are literally at this candle close. We are right at this demand zone. We are right here. We are right here at 411. So what, for our first take profit, we're going to have a 0.2 risk to reward ratio and then just pray to Jesus that he flushes it down to 410. Like, you just can't trade like that. And that's just what I was doing. I was just going, oh, this is going to be the move that's going to flush us down to 410, and I'm going to catch 50%, and I'm going to make 5% of my account. And I usually don't catch myself thinking like that, so I'm kind of surprised that's what I was doing today, but, that's what I was doing. I just wasn't looking at, price action clearly enough, and, not thinking about my risk to reward ratio and this and that. So what could we have seen here that would have made it a lot better? Obviously, if we were to wait and hold for this flush of this level, maybe even a little bit of a pullback here, what if we got a little bit of a lead test? We all love the lead test. I don't know if you guys saw what I said in trade results, where I said there's like 1,000 fans of Leland, I'm one of them. If there's 100, I'm one of them. If there's 10, I'm one of them. If there's 1, it's me. And if there's 0, I'm dead. Man, I love the lead test, man. So this would have been a good setup for that. But instead, I just tried to get my early entry because of my greed and my bias. I didn't react. I predicted. I tried to predict. So yet again, we get another loser. And I'm buying 3-day contracts here, so I'm only losing 1% on each of these trades, but it's like, all right, well, what if, I didn't use my brain and I bought 0 days here? I'd be down like 10% on the port. Or like 5% or something. At least lost all of my gains that I gained yesterday, which I made like almost 8%. So yeah, we didn't start off good. I was very disappointed. I was like, what the hell am I thinking? And by the way, we also did get a little bit of a lead test here. Leland did call it out, which could have been a little good trade, and they're smart and they took their profits here. Had a pretty decent risk to reward ratio, not like a 0.2 like me, using my big brain at the time. But so I'm like, shoot, we're just stuck in this range. And then I finally, that taught me the lesson. I'm like, man, I should have just stuck to waiting for the initial breakout. And so I stepped away from SPY, and this is where we had the little bit of a comeback on Tesla. So, Tesla, what can we see off the bat here that I really liked? We're trading in this little trend line here. I saw a username in the Discord point this out, so thank you, username. I appreciate you because I didn't even catch this at first. But look what we're doing. This is basic price action here. We are making lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, same high, kind of like a bit of a double top-ish here. And this is where we took our first trade. I see, okay, we're pulling back to this previous support, now turn into resistance. We're pulling back to the golden pocket, 9 EMA on the 5-minute. Let's go here on Webull. Look at where we're rejecting. 9 EMA on the 10-minute too. So our positioning on this trade is already good off the bat. We have multiple points of confluence that we're rejecting from. 2 different time frames, 9 EMAs, a level of support, now resistance, and the golden pocket, and this trend line. So, you know, this should already be a clear indication of, you know, puts. Of course, if we get the right confirmation, I'm not saying if you just see price push up to that, just buy in, but our positioning on this trade is a lot better than here on SPY, where we're just taking a trade in the middle of supply and demand. Here on Tesla, we're now taking puts at an area where you should be taking puts, and that gives you a good risk-reward ratio. So, if we go here on the 1 minute, you know, we get our little pullback here, and we get our little breakdown, which is our entry, slight rising volume. You know, volume at this time, I was like, it was a little iffy, but at the same time, look at, we're risking 28 cents on 3-day contracts. That's not going to be any more than like a 5% loss. And look at, for our first take profit, we have a 3 risk to reward ratio. That is beautiful. That is what you want to see. Now for our second target, a 5.25 risk to reward ratio. So obviously my confidence is going to be way higher in this trade. Boom. We come down here. We hold below the 9 EMA on the 1 minute the entire time. Take off 50% at our first take profit. End up flushing down, taking off the rest of our position. Amazing trade, basic lead test, and look at where we end up taking our profit to, at the bottom of this trend line. It all worked out beautifully. Now, we basically just ended up replicating that. And here, look, we come back down. You know, I have my fib drawn from this previous little pullback here. It lines up perfectly with our 167, so this was our low of day here that we bounced off of. Pulled back, broke down. Actually entered on this. Enter, boom, push down, make a tiny little lower low, pull back, make a tiny little lower high. Inverse hammer. Look at our stop. Our stop loss is 22 cents. Above this level, like a close above this level, and look at first take profit back down to the next low of day. Look at our risk to reward, 2.32 on our first take profit, and now I did have my second take profit at 166, and this is where I did go wrong with this trade, because I tried to aim for a whole dollar when my next take profit should have been around the 166.50 level. And I usually like to take profit within like 5 to 7-ish cents of one of my levels. So I feel like I would have taken it here. That could completely be hindsight bias. But the one thing I did wrong with this trade is I shouldn't have had such a greedy second take profit. I should have had one like this where, you know, it's about 50 cents. You know, something that should have made sense. I shouldn't have just been like, oh, we're going to flush down a whole dollar, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to catch this whole thing. Nah, I should have had a better second take profit, but still positioning on this trade, beautiful. Come down, had our first take profit here. I can just slide that over. We come down, we start to chop. I'm kind of just waiting for us to push down. And we end up taking off our last 50%. Here I can kind of delete this trade here since we did go over it. I ended up taking my last 50% on the close of this candle here. Just because, why should we take off the rest of our position? Well, not once have we recovered the 9 EMA throughout the day on rising volume. And at this point too, look at what we're breaking out of. We're breaking out of this trend line. And we're creating a new higher high and also breaking above one of our levels that was resistance. So this is a clear indication of, yo, trend is flipping. Get out of your puts. So I got out my puts here, which I'm very proud of. You know, this is just about a 10% gain, little base hit. It's nothing crazy. But again, the setup was very beautiful. And then here we go on to our bigger trade of the day. That lasted a fat minute and was making me go insane. It wasn't actually, but I was kind of just like chilling watching TikTok like, okay, can this hit already? Especially just through this. This was absolutely horrendous. But I'm still proud. So for a bit of review, in my video yesterday, I talked about a buy the dip, or there was like a wedge, a descending wedge here. Yep. So Bueller pointed out this wedge, and I asked him, hey, so, you know, I could take the break out of this wedge. It had pretty good volume, but I want a more passive entry. I don't just want to enter, you know, right when we close above, because it's not like we necessarily base. It's not like we had a double bottom, we pushed up, made a lower high. So I didn't want to have an aggressive entry. I wanted to have a passive entry. So he said, either wait for the pullback to the golden pocket or to the 9 EMA. So today I go, all right, well, let's wait for, you know, like a pullback to the 9 EMA, a pullback to this level. I don't even think I ended up drawing the golden pocket, so let's see where we ended up testing. And look at where we tested. We tested the golden pocket here. So I spot this right off the bat. And I go, all right, well, we have a break of structure. We have a new higher high. We push down here. Volume steps in like crazy. Look at the volume on this candle. Buyers are obviously present here. So I'm like, I bet this is my entry signal. And my stop loss is like below this level, or like a close below 167. So boom, first take profit. Let's look at where we're positioned. First take profit, 2.1 risk reward ratio. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Second take profit. Here, let me go back. Shoo. This is bright after being on that. Let me it was 168 was my second take profit. Sorry, I don't have this marked. 168. And then I'll just mark these green to make it a bit easier. So boom, we end up hitting our first take profit. I bought in with three 3-day contracts. It was about $1,000. And boom, first take profit hit. Usually I would move my stop to break even, but I felt like, you know, we're kind of just flagging here. And what really made me stay in this trade and where I ended up moving my stop was look at here. We ended up recovering the 9-minute 10 the 10 EMA. 10-minute 9 EMA. Oh my gosh, I just struggled so hard saying that. And we were holding above. All right, so if we were to lose this, I would have, you know, lost my confidence. So I was going, okay, if we get a close below the 10 EMA, I'm out. I already took a bit of profits, you know, we're chilling. We ended up holding. So this is why I held through all this chop. If we also go to the 5-minute here, we kind of can see a bit of a flag pattern. So I'm like, all right, we're holding the 10-minute 9 and we're flagging and we're seeing a lot of indecision. So, with indecision is kind of like accumulation, and whatever way we break out, we're going to have a pretty solid move. So I'm like, all right, let's see if we break out to the upside. I end up holding. We almost get back to break even on our contracts here. And what do? Boom. We shoot up and hit our second take profit at 168 here. Hold back up. And now look at the risk reward. 6 risk reward ratio. 3.67. 2.1. Beautiful, splendid. That is what you want. That is what you need. All right. And I mean, this was kind of, a basic trade where we have a breakup structure, we make a higher low, we enter on the higher low, hold of the golden pocket, push up, hit all of our take profits. Here too, what I can point out is we were holding this fib here, so I didn't exit even though we got very close. Ended up pushing up, exiting on this candle. And with these 3 trades on Tesla, we made we made back all of our losses and we were $120 in the green. So made about 320 on all 3. Nothing insane. It wasn't like yesterday where it was like $700 on the account. But I'm still very happy with these last 3 trades and how I was able to come back, realize my mistakes, and take these high quality setups where I had a lot of confidence in, and kind of show myself like, hey, I'm not like an idiot, and I kind of know how to trade to where I can actually take these setups. But I do want to thank like everybody in the Discord too, even just the past few weeks, where I feel like I've been more like active in it, where I started to make these videos, and ask more questions, type more, like even in the chat on YouTube. I felt like I've just been like learning so much, like from like Mel, Bueller, Daffy, D-Touch, like Noxta, like all these people. I really appreciate you guys. And then if like I ever have a question too, I feel like it's always answered. And I don't feel like I'm ever like bothering anybody or anything like that. So I just want to say thanks a lot. If there are any other like tips or pieces of advice for these trades, please just let me know. Because of course, like all of us, I'm just trying to become a better trader and everything. But yeah, that's all the trades for well, now it's May 10th, but for May 9th. And yeah.